1997 was a big year for video games, and it gave us a lot of classics. GoldenEye, Quake 2, Fallout, and even Final Fantasy VII. However, the best-selling game of the year was none of these. It was a puzzle-adventure game called Riven.
The grounds have been prepared.
Extremely popular, Riven shaped players' views of the genre for an entire generation, and was originally shipped on not one, not two, but 5 CD-ROMs, which you had to swap out every time you entered a new area. Almost 30 years later, it's being remade in full 3D in Unreal Engine 5 by the same people who developed it. We got our hands on an early copy, and let me tell you, it's still got the same magic. And here's why you should absolutely play it. First of all, why even bother remaking Riven? Riven was the sequel to Myst, the best-selling PC game ever when it came out in 1993. Myst became one of the best in the adventure game genre, and it was definitely a cultural icon for its time. Many called it the anti-Doom, because despite being an instant hit, it somehow didn't involve an arsenal of weapons and killing hordes of enemies. Instead, it had a fascinating and mysterious world, and a very compelling story. For its sequel, Cyan Worlds decided it was time to double down and build an even more ambitious world. Like Myst, Riven is an adventure game, and you use your mouse to move through a world of pre-rendered scenes filled with secrets and puzzles to discover. Each area is its own image, with no real freedom of movement. The players had to find something on the screen to interact with and slowly gain an idea about how to move on to the next challenge or get the next piece of information they needed to proceed. The graphics, while static, were impressive for their time, and that wasn't just limited to landscapes.
There's a great deal of history that you should know. I might be able to get you back to the place that you came from.
The approach to exploration is quite different in the remake, because the world of Riven is now fully explorable in 3D. You're able to walk through its imposing landscapes and foreboding buildings and look where you want when you want. One thing they did keep, though, was the old-school hand cursor, which changes when you find something it can interact with. The story is still the same, but it's just as compelling as ever. The plot of Myst and Riven center on one man, Atris, and his ability to write books called Ages that transport their reader to another world. In Myst, you had to deal with his rebellious sons, and in Riven, you have to go up against his tyrannical father, Gain. Atris and his wife Catherine trapped Gain on an age called Riven 30 years before the game begins, and in that time, the world has decayed, and the people who live there had to suffer through Gain's brutal dictatorship. Gain has captured Catherine, and Atris sends you to Riven to rescue her before the whole world collapses. Over the course of the game, you'll explore a temple, ride a maglev over the ocean between islands, do a bit of cave diving and mining, a little scientific experimentation, have close encounters with local wildlife, as well as get to know the locals a little. You'll even come face to face with Gain himself. Instead of using live-action characters spliced into backgrounds, all of Riven's characters in the remake are now 3D animated models. This makes them fit more with the world, I guess, but there was a certain charm about the way it was done in the old version. Part of Riven's appeal was always how immersive its environment felt. The ambient sounds and music were a big part of that, and they've been lovingly remastered here. As for all the puzzles, well, not a lot has changed, though it doesn't necessarily need to be. The puzzle solutions in the old Riven were randomized, and that's true for this version as well. That means you'll need to pay attention to every clue you find, because it's going to be slightly different to what another player finds. One thing that will help you that the old Riven didn't have was a notebook function, where you can take screenshots and write notes on them so you can remember important details, clues, or codes you come across. It's these sorts of quality of life changes that update the game for this century while still maintaining its challenge and charm. So, is playing Riven in 2024 worth it? 100%. There's the immersive world, the challenging puzzles are unique, and overall it's just an incredible experience. Even if you haven't played the original but you simply enjoy puzzle adventure games, you're in for a treat. Just don't let this guy catch you.
Primitive code of conduct than I might otherwise have chosen.
If you liked this video, subscribe to our channel for more gaming content and previews.